Good afternoon, everybody. This is Teresa back with another live video origami lesson. Today I'm going to be doing the octopus, this little guy here. You're going to need a pair of scissors and something small if you can, a pen or a pencil or a pencil crayon, anything small that you can kind of wrap because you're going to be curling the octopus tentacles. So I've just grabbed my little pencil case, so I've got one of those as well. So I've got my scissors and my pencil case. And then on Friday I'm going to be showing you how to make this cool cube. So I'll be showing you that. And this one here, just a reminder, is 6 pieces of paper. So you can do it mix and match like I did with this one, or you can do all solid paper. However you want to do it. So again, 6 pieces of paper. You won't need any glue or scissors or anything like that for this video. Alright, so I've got my workspace, I've got my piece of paper. So the first thing I've got is my double-sided as usual. And I've decided that I would like my octopus to be blue. I contemplated bright yellow, but I decided to go with the blue. So blue side's going to go down because that's the color I want to show. Alright, so first thing we're going to do is we're going to fold it in half into a triangle. Again, making sure all of our corners line up nice and square. And then nice crease as usual. Always get a good crease. And we're going to fold it in half again into a smaller triangle. And again, lining up my corners. And tight crease again. And when you're doing these, you always want to make sure they're good, tight creases. The tighter the crease, the less likely it will fall apart. And then once we've got that, what we're going to do is we're going to fold it into a square. So we've got our triangle. And we're going to just open the mouth all the way down and fold it into a square. And we're going to make sure all of these points line up. Don't want anything kind of wandering away from you. So just hold it down. And again, just pushing it down into a nice square. And nice tight crease. And once you got that, we're going to fold it over. And we're going to bring this all the way to the other side so that it follows this nice triangle here. So that it should be able to stand up on its own like that. And that's when we can do our second one. So we're going to open this one as well. And always making sure that these don't go anywhere. You want to make sure they're all in the same spot. So again, I'm just holding all 3 corners and then putting that 4th one into place. And folding down. So you've got your nice tight crease again. And you should have a nice square just like that. So what we're going to do is, the first thing we're going to do is make sure that we've got our mouth facing towards ourselves. And what we're going to do is we're going to fold down on an angle along the center line. Just like that. And again, down to the center and making sure it's open end down here. And once you've got that, we can unfold it. And we're going to make this, we're going to actually squish this one down, just like we did the last thing. So we're going to squish this. So it won't match into a point, but we're going to follow the same crease that we just made. So again, I'm holding these pieces together so they don't separate. And I'm lining up everything, making sure that this line matches the center line here. And then pushing my crease down nice and firm. Just like that. So once you've got that, we're going to do the same thing to the other side. So we're going to flip it. And again, making sure that the point is open to me. And again, we're going to go to the center line. So the easiest way to do that. There you go. So once you got that, we're going to do the same thing again. So again, all I'm doing is opening the center here. And just making sure everything wants to stay in the same spots. Nice and lined up. Everything's good to go. And then I've got my crease centered. And folded down just like that. So you'll have 2. And you've got 2 flipped out on the sides here. So what we're going to do is we're going to do those last two as well. So what we're going to do is fold this one in half, and then we can do this same direction, all down the same direction. So you shouldn't have it going like this, right? You don't want it to go this direction, right? Because that's the opposite direction of everything else. So as long as you're going the same direction, into the center, and unravel, and again, just stick your finger in there, get it nice and open, and it'll get stuck like that sometimes, so you just kind of have to get your finger right in there, nice and tight. And again, holding these together so they don't go anywhere, lining up my edges, and folding down just like that. So now we've got three. We're going to do the same thing, so we'll flip it over, and it makes it nice and even, and then we're going to fold it in half, and do that last one there. And again, just opening it up nice and wide. Get that finger in there. And holding everything together, making sure everything's nice, squared up. Like that. So when you open it and you look at it, you should have 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, just like that. So it'll sit like that. Alright. This one's a bit tricky. So what I'm going to suggest is to fold this tip to this tip all the way down. So it's nice halfway. And again, I want to make sure that I line up the corner and then push down. The reason we're doing this is just to give us a crease. And then what we're going to do is we're going to fold this one into the center here, just like that. So we're going to fold down into the center on both sides. There you go. So once you've done that, you can unfold this, and we're going to gently lift this flap here and pull it all the way back. And what we're going to do is where we have this crease, it'll hold nice and tight, and then we have this crease. So what we're going to do is we're actually going to open it on both sides, and all I'm doing is very carefully pulling this back and following the lines we already made. Just like that. And all you gotta do is, if it doesn't want to cooperate, because sometimes it gets caught in a corner, just wiggle it a little bit, and then it'll release. And then you can follow the second one. Just like that. So you should have a little tiny flap at the top here, and still open at the bottom. So once we've done that, we're going to do the same thing to all the other ones. So I've already got a crease here, but I want to make it so that it's nice and firm. So I'm going to fold the other direction, just so I have a really good line there. And then again, I'm going to fold into the center. Just the one top layer. Don't want to have all of them fold in at the same time. So just one at a time. Into the center. And again, tight creases make this a much better way to do it. And then again, we're just opening it up and following the crease that we made here and the crease that we made here. Now don't worry about the little crease on this side, because that's going to work its way out. And it actually will go backwards. So that's actually good. And then all you do is nice tight creases on that side. And a nice tight crease on that side. And now you've got the two. And then once we've got the two, you're going to just flip this over. And flip this over. And you should have nice, easy to see. And when it's like this, it's unbalanced. So I like to set it so that everything is the same on both sides. So I'm going to flip it over. And I'm going to do the same thing. So I'm going to move this to the one side and bring this to the front. So now that's folded and tucked inside. Same on this side. So it's nice and even. So you see 1, 2, 3, 4, right? when you're doing this, it's much easier to keep them nice and even. So that's why we do that. So again, we have our nice tight crease here that we made earlier. So we're just going to go into the center. All the way along here. And then we can open this one up and do like we did the first two. Again, just gently pulling it back a little bit, getting it nice and worked out. And if that one doesn't want to work, you just kind of give it a little bit of poking and prodding until it opens up. And then just push down nicely, and it'll make that nice crease. So this one doesn't want to cooperate very much. Let's get that one down. There we go. So now we've got 3. One more to go. Alright, so once we're done this one, let's get that one done here. So you'll see all I'm doing is gently opening it up, pulling it open. Alright, so now you'll have 4, just like that. So you should have open, and you should have 4 little legs. So you've got 1 here, 2, and 3, and 4. And then it's closed at the top. So you want that closed bit at the top, because we're going to use that later when we inflate, so that we get our nice poofy little octopus. So once we've done this, what we're going to do is we're going to make 4 legs into 8 legs. So the first thing we're going to do is make them skinny. And all we're going to do is we're going to take that first leg and ever so carefully fold it in half. And it's really thick paper by this point, so we've got a lot of folds in here. And all I'm doing is folding to the center. See? So I'm folding to the center line here and all the way down to the tip here. And then we're going to do the same thing to the other side, and making sure you're only doing 1. Sometimes you'll grab 2 just like this, so you want to make sure you're very careful about only getting 1 at a time, and then fold into the center just like that. And then what do we do with one side? We do to the other side, right? So we're going to do the same thing to the other one. There you go. So now we've got 2 nice skinny legs, and we got these 2 big ones on the outside. So we're going to do what we did earlier. We're going to tuck this to the inside, and we're going to bring everything over so that we see those big wide ones. And we're going to flip it over and do the same thing. So just folding it over, and then bringing that other one that we're going to work on now, bringing it to the front. So you'll always have the inside that's folded on both sides, so it's nice and equal. And again, we're going to make these nice and skinny. So all the way in there. To the center line. And again with this center line here. And then we can flip it over and do that last leg. Like that. And we're almost done. So anyone who's watched any videos knows that what you do to one side, you pretty much always have to do to the other side. And yes, there's a lot of repetition, and I find it very comforting once you actually learn something to do the same thing over and over again. And a lot of the folds that you do in one thing translate to a fold in a different item. So once you learn the basic folds, everything always seems to be a lot easier to do. But I find it very calming and relaxing to do origami, because it's so simple and because it's repetitive, that when you're really stressed out or you're thinking about a lot of things, a lot of times if you work on origami, your brain just automatically kind of shuts down a little bit, and it gives you a chance to kind of breathe and reflect on what's going on. So this here, we've got our 4 little legs. So they're very skinny little legs now. And what we're going to do is we're going to bring them up into a kind of a body shape, because we don't want to stick them down like this. That'll look funny, right? So we want our octopus to have the legs. So what we're going to do is we're going to take the center here, and the best thing is to hold one side and just work on one leg at a time. So we're going to open into the center here where there's no fold, and we're going to gently pull this whole piece up. And by whole piece I mean just the one leg. I don't want to grab the other one. And we're going to pull it all the way up until it won't go anymore. So right there. And then we're going to fold it in half into itself. And if you've ever did the crane with me, this is exactly what you do with the crane. The only difference is now we've got 4 legs instead of just 2. So I've got my one, and I'm going to work on the second one here. And again, I'm holding the one side so it doesn't accidentally come apart. And just pulling it all the way up. And all I'm doing is folding it back towards its center, right? And because it's very thick, sometimes you have to kind of just wiggle and get that folded in there. And then all I'm doing is pulling it all the way up into the middle here, and then pushing down at the bottom there, and that makes that crease. So just like that. So now that I've got 2 legs, I'm going to do the other side. So I'm going to flip it over, and same thing, holding here and opening here. So I've got my one leg. I don't want to grab both by accident. And just pulling it all the way up. And again, folding it in half. Very gently. And then all I'm doing is making sure that I push really nice and tight on the bottom here. And it doesn't mean they don't have to be all identical. So you see that I'm not leveled. And I'm okay with that because octopus don't swim flat. So if you don't have them perfectly lined up, that's okay. If you want them perfectly lined up, you just kind of wiggle them until they get all the way up there. So I've got my last one here. Let's do that last leg up into the center there. And again, folding it in half and pushing it there. Alright. So I've got all my legs. I'm just going to fix that one a little bit more just because it's so far out of the other ones. And again, it's paper, so it gives. And you can redo this 100 times if you want. So I've got them so that you can see every single one of them differently. So they're all different. But you can have it so that they're all sitting perfectly level together. And that's all you're going to do for that. And this is when we need our scissors. So we're going to take our scissors here. Actually, I'm going to grab a smaller pair just because it's a little bit easier. Those big ones are kind of awkward. So I got my little pair here. So all I'm going to do is cut this leg in half. So what the easiest way to do it is to gently pull it open like this, holding everything around it. That way you can make sure you're cutting in the center and not by accident down along here, right? So I'm following the fold in the center. So all I'm going to do is cut very gently. And I don't want to go all the way down to the bottom, but I want to go almost all the way to the bottom. So you can kind of see where I stopped there. So just a little bit to the bottom. And they're going to want to cross like that. Pick them back up and fold it back in. So now I've got an extra leg, right? So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So once I've got my 5 legs, I'm going to move to the next one. And again, do the same thing. So I'm going to hold this up a little bit so I get my line and cut. Again, not all the way to the end, but almost all the way to the end. If you stop halfway, then it makes it really, really hard to curl the leg, curl the tentacles. So you want to go almost to the end. So on this one, right now, you can see it's not very far. So I'm going to cut it a little bit longer. So I want it to give me that little bit of extra curl later. And then I can tuck it up inside again and so again I'm cutting a little bit at a time, holding everything else to make sure it doesn't come apart, and then cut the next one. And then tuck that one in there too. And one more. There we go. So now I've got all my 8 tentacle legs. Got my 8 legs. So the next thing I want to do is I want to curl them. And again, you can use literally anything that you have on hand to be able to curl it, but I have really big fingers, so I don't like to try and curl anything with my fingers. So I'm going to curl it with one of my little pencils from Japan. So I've got my pencil crayon, and all I'm going to do is just take one leg at a time. So it doesn't matter where you begin, because you're going to do it to all of them. And all you're going to do is wrap it around your pencil, or whatever you're using, and you don't have to go all the way down, depending on how much of a curl you want, and then just hold it for a few seconds, and then unravel it. And it'll want to stick down, that's okay. Just tuck it back up like normal, and as you do them, they're going to all want to kind of do their own thing. You can just let them for now, and then we can fiddle with it later, right? So you got your 1, 2... There's 3. We'll do number 4. Alright. So that's half. You got 1, 2, 3, 4 little tentacles kind of hanging out. And then we'll do the other side. So, do those nice and quick. And I tend to do one at a time, just because it gives a different angle. If you do them both at the same time when they're on one leg, the angle will be the same. So when they sit, they'll look kind of, I wouldn't say weird, but they'll sit in the same direction, so they might not stand out as much like 2 tentacles. So if you do them at the same time, you'll have to wiggle with them later a bit more. Alright, so we're going to get that last one here. So if you were to do both at the same time, right, you're going to just tuck them together like this. And it gets a little finicky when you try and do 2, if you actually do 2 at a time. But you can, and then you just kind of tuck them in and get them tucked in there again. Alright, and this is what happens. I did it backwards. Look at that. I got all excited about doing 2 at a time. Alright. There we go. Fix that. Get those tucked in there up there. Alright. So you should have all 8 of your little guys curled. Now it doesn't look like much, but it's finished. So what we're going to do is we're going to inflate the inside here, and we're going to make it nice and puffy. So what we're going to do is we're going to take our mouth, and right on this big hole that we created at the bottom, we're going to gently blow and hold everything a little bit right at the bottom there, and it'll kind of puff out and kind of flatten at the top, but that's okay. So I'm just going to inflate this little guy here. I'm going to inflate him, but apparently I'm also going to throw him. There we go. Alright. So it's kind of hard because it's so thick, so you have to blow really hard. Alright, so now that I've got him kind of inflated, now I can play with his little octopus legs and curl them a little bit more in different directions that I want him to go. And just play with it from there. So again, I'm just kind of pulling them down a little bit in different directions. And then some of them aren't as curly as I'd like, so I can curl them up a little bit. And then again here. And again, because it's paper, you can just keep playing with it till you get it the way you like. And if you wanted to, you could draw some little googly eyes on it if you really wanted to. Do all sorts of fun stuff with that. And there you have it. Fun little octopus. Alright. So again, thank you very much for watching. And again, Friday we'll be doing the box. And I'm just going to show you how to make one of the items. I won't go through walking through all 6 of them. So I'll show you how to do one, and then I'll show you how to put it together. Just because there is 6, so it would take quite a while to do by video. But once you've made one, they're identical. So you just make all 6 together and then put them. So that's it for today. And hope everyone has a good day. Thank you very much.